There's something more powerful than love in a relationship, and that's respect. Because once a woman loses respect for you, everything else starts to crumble: her attraction, her admiration, her willingness to stay. It doesn't happen overnight, it's subtle. A few words here, a weak reaction there, and slowly the image she had of you as a grounded masculine man begins to fade in this video. We're going to uncover 10 things that instantly kill her respect for you, whether you realize it or not. And more importantly, we'll explore how a Stoic mindset, one rooted in self-discipline, purpose, and emotional clarity, can help you avoid these silent traps and lead with quiet strength. Let's get into it. You apologize just to keep the peace, number one. You apologize just to keep the peace when you say sorry just to avoid conflict. Even when you did nothing wrong, she starts to question your backbone. Peace without principle isn't stoic, it's submission. A real man stands by his truth, even if it's uncomfortable. Let's be real for a second. You weren't wrong, you knew it. Maybe she overreacted. Maybe she twisted something small into something big. But instead of calmly standing your ground, you apologize just to make it all go away. Just to restore the peace, the problem that kind of peace is fake. It's built on the idea that your comfort doesn't matter, that your truth can be sacrificed to keep her emotionally calm. And over time, she starts to notice that pattern. She starts to see that you're quick to fold, not because you're wise, but because you fear losing the connection. But a Stoic man doesn't fear discomfort. He doesn't rush to fix things that aren't broken just to be liked. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." So if you didn't cause the damage, why pretend you did? That's not maturity, it's avoidance. And avoidance never earns respect. It only teaches her that you can be guilted, pressured, or manipulated into submission. Let me give you an example. Say she accuses you of being distant, even though you've been consistent and present. She's upset, maybe projecting her own doubts onto you. And instead of calmly explaining your position or letting her sit with her feelings, you immediately say, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel that way." Sounds gentle, right? But it also tells her this: you're willing to wear blame just to keep her happy. You're more afraid of tension than you are of dishonoring yourself. There's a quiet strength in standing your ground without being aggressive. It's not about creating conflict, it's about not avoiding necessary discomfort, because when a man lives with integrity, his peace isn't given away for temporary harmony. He doesn't apologize for being misunderstood. He clarifies with confidence. He knows that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is not say sorry when you haven't done wrong. So if you've caught yourself doing this, chasing calm at the cost of your self-respect, take a breath. Next time, pause, ask yourself, am I apologizing to restore connection or to avoid discomfort? That answer will reveal everything before we move on. I want to hear from you. Have you ever apologized just to keep the peace? Even when deep down you knew you weren't in the wrong, it's more common than you think. And it's one of those habits that slowly chips away at your confidence without you even realizing it. So drop a comment below, share your experience, or just type, "No more fake peace." If this hit home, your story might help another man out there reclaim his voice. Let's keep the conversation real. Now let's look at another behavior that quietly erodes her respect for you. You need constant reassurance. Number 2, you need constant reassurance asking, "Do you still like me?" Or fishing for compliments chips away at her image of your inner strength. A Stoic man draws confidence from within, not from external validation. That self-contained calm. That's what earns respect. But let's be real. It's easy to fall into this trap, especially when you care. Maybe she's been a little distant. Maybe her tone has shifted, so you ask, "Is everything okay between us?" Not because you're weak, but because you're uncertain. Still, here's the thing. Every time you look to her for constant emotional reassurance, you're handing over the power to define your worth. You're asking someone else to remind you that you're enough when that reminder should come from you. Think of it like this. the more you need to hear you're good enough, the more she wonders why you don't already believe it. And when a man doesn't believe in himself, it puts pressure on the woman to carry both her emotional weight and his. That's not love. It's emotional labor. Stoicism teaches us to root our identity in what we can control: your mindset, your actions, your self-respect. You don't ask the world to confirm your value, you live in a way that reflects it. Marcus Aurelius didn't wait for applause, he reminded himself. It is not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. If your peace depends on her reassurance, it's not peace, it's dependency in disguise. So next time you feel the urge to ask, "Are we okay?" Pause, breathe. Reflect, is the question coming from strength or insecurity? If it's the latter, the real work isn't in getting an answer, it's in becoming the man who no longer needs to ask in that shift. That's when everything changes. That's when she starts to feel something deeper. Trust in your emotional stability, respect for your quiet strength, and attraction to a man who doesn't just seek reassurance but radiates it. Number 3, you're always too available. Always too available. If you're always one text away dropping everything for her, it signals you have no purpose outside of her. At first, it might seem like devotion. You're showing up being dependable, always answering her call. But over time, it starts to chip away at something vital: mystery value and ultimately respect. When you're always there, always reachable, always eager, you become predictable, and predictability without depth or direction loses its spark. Think about it. If you cancel your plans, shift your priorities, or put your goals on pause just to be around her, what are you silently telling her? That your world revolves around hers, that your life can wait, that your standards can bend. And while she may enjoy that attention at first, eventually she'll start wondering why your time is so easy to get, why your energy is so freely given, why you're never too busy building something greater. A man grounded in Stoicism doesn't operate that way. He's not cold or distant, he's deliberate. He protects his time, not to punish or play games, but because he's anchored in something larger than approval. His mission comes first. His goals aren't distractions, they're the structure that gives his life meaning. Presence is powerful, yes, but only when it's earned. Only when it's given from a place of abundance, not from a place of need. So the next time you feel the urge to drop everything, just because she texts, pause, ask yourself, is this moment a reflection of strength or a retreat from purpose? Remember, being available isn't the issue. Being too available without boundaries or direction, that's what slowly drains your value in her eyes. You don't need to disappear, but you do need to be centered. Because when a woman sees that your time is respected by you, she'll start respecting it too. You react emotionally to everything. Number 4, you react emotionally to everything. Exploding in anger or sulking over small things shows a lack of control. A stoic man doesn't let temporary emotions dictate permanent actions. He pauses, he reflects, and then he responds calmly. Not impulsively. When you react to every disagreement, every delay, or every offhand comment with frustration or sadness, it tells the world that your inner state is fragile, that you're not anchored. And the truth is, people, especially women, pay attention to that. They notice if you're easily shaken, if you're always triggered by what others say or do. It doesn't make them feel safe. It makes them feel like they have to tiptoe around your emotions. Imagine she's late replying to your message, and instead of waiting, you flood her with or cold responses. That's not leadership, that's reactivity, that's emotion running the show. And worse, it shows you're not in control of yourself. Stoicism teaches that our power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering ourselves. When something happens, you don't need to jump to conclusions or dramatize the moment. You breathe, you observe, you let it pass. Then you choose your response. Not out of ego, but from clarity. That kind of restraint is rare, but it's magnetic, because when you stop overreacting, you stop bleeding energy. And when you stop bleeding energy, you become someone others lean toward because your presence feels grounded, not chaotic. So if you catch yourself reacting to everything, take a step back, ask yourself, is this worth my peace most of the time? It's not. Before we move on, I want you to take a moment and really reflect on this. Are your reactions building connection or slowly chipping away? At respect, emotional self mastery isn't about pretending nothing affects you. It's about choosing what deserves a reaction. If you've ever caught yourself snapping over a delay or shutting down because of something small, you're not alone, but growth starts with awareness. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts, or if this hit home, simply type, I respond with reason, not impulse. Let's keep this real. Let's keep it grounded. You let her lead everything. Number 5, you let her lead everything from where to eat to how the relationship moves. If she's always steering, she eventually loses faith in your direction. A woman respects a man who leads with clarity, not control. Stoicism reminds us leadership begins with self-discipline. And here's the truth. Most won't tell you when a woman has to take the reins. Every time it slowly chips away at her sense of security. She doesn't want to be in charge of everything. She wants to feel like she can trust your direction, that you have a vision, a plan, a steady hand on the wheel. Think about it. If you're always deferring, where do you want to go? You decide, I'm fine with whatever. It might sound polite, but over time it feels like passivity, like you're unsure or worse, indifferent. And indifference doesn't inspire confidence. A Stoic man leads not by forcing outcomes, but by anchoring himself in calm, clear intention. He's not rigid, but he's not lost either. He makes decisions based on principles, not pressure. He knows when to listen, but also when to speak with purpose. So the next time a moment calls for direction, whether it's choosing a place for dinner or addressing a serious conversation, don't shrink. Don't hand it all off out of fear of doing it wrong. Step up, own your decisions, not because you need to control, but because you know who you are, and that more than anything is what she can truly follow. You avoid difficult conversations. Number 6, you avoid difficult conversations. Hiding from emotional talks or sweeping issues under the rug isn't strength. It's fear disguised as control. Stoics don't pretend that discomfort doesn't exist. They face it not because they enjoy it, but because they understand that discomfort is often the path to clarity, growth, and depth. When you avoid tension, you also avoid truth. And whether she says it or not, she notices, she feels it when you shut down, instead of leaning in when you brush things off with, it's fine. Even though it clearly isn't. You're not keeping the peace, you're creating quiet distance. And over time, that silence becomes louder than any argument could have been. You may think that dodging a difficult conversation keeps the relationship stable, but what it actually does is erode emotional safety, because every time you ignore her change in tone, avoid asking what's really on her mind, or dismiss your own feelings to maintain appearances, you're signaling that vulnerability has no space here, and eventually she stops sharing, not out of spite, but out of self-P protection, because nothing feels lonelier than being with someone who's physically present but emotionally absent. Real connection demands more than surface harmony. It requires the courage to walk through the fire of honesty that might mean owning your mistakes, saying something hurt you, admitting you don't have it all figured out. And yes, it might shake things up, but a Stoic man doesn't chase comfort. He chases clarity. He understands what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Avoiding hard truths may feel easier in the moment, but it compromises the very foundation of respect, both hers and your own. So the next time you feel that tension rise, don't retreat. Lean in, not to control the outcome, but to honor the truth. Speak calmly, not to defend your ego, but to build understanding. That's where trust is forged. That's how leadership is shown. Not through bravado or dominance, but through steady presence and emotional honesty. That's not weakness, that's mastery, that's stoicism, lived, not just quoted. You try too hard to please her. Number 7. You try too hard to please her when your goal is to be liked rather than respected. You shrink over accommodation. Dilutes your edge. The Stoic man doesn't bend for approval. He offers what's true, not what's convenient. See, when you're always adjusting yourself to keep her happy, always checking if she's okay, always walking on eggshells just to avoid conflict. You're no longer being you become a version of yourself that's constantly performing, hoping to be chosen. And that energy, it's exhausting to maintain and eventually unattractive to her. Think about it. If you're always the think one saying yes, always the one chasing her mood, always trying to fix things even when you didn't break them. It doesn't show strength, it shows fear. Fear of losing her, fear of upsetting her, fear of not being enough unless you're constantly pleasing her. And ironically, the more you try to please her at the expense of your own truth, the more she feels emotionally responsible for the dynamic. And that pressure will slowly push her away. A stoic man doesn't seek approval, like a thirsty man seeks water. He knows that truth, integrity, and calm presence are what truly attracts someone who respects him. And that means being willing to say no. It means disagreeing with grace, not silence. It means showing up as you are, not as a version that's been edited, just to fit her expectations. Here's a practical example. She asks you to cancel your plans last minute to hang out, but you've already committed to something important to you. The man who's trying too hard to please will say, sure, no problem. But the man who values himself might say, I'd love to see you, but I already gave my word elsewhere. Let's plan another time. That might not earn instant applause, but it earns something deeper respect, in the words of Marcus Aurelius. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be won. And sometimes being one means not pleasing everyone, especially when it costs your peace, your purpose, or your sense of self. Before we move on, I want you to sit with this for a second. Ask yourself honestly, have you been saying yes too often just to be liked? Have you traded your authenticity for approval? Because the moment you start bending over backwards to keep her happy, you stop standing tall in who you are. And women can feel that respect doesn't grow from people pleasing. It grows from presence, principle, and quiet confidence. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Drop a comment and share your take, or just type this down below. I choose truth over approval. Let's see who's walking that stoic path. You disrespect yourself. Number 8, you disrespect yourself. Accepting crumbs, tolerating disloyalty, or staying where you're not valued tells her you don't respect you. And here's the part many guys overlook. She watches that. She watches how you let people treat you. Especially yourself. You might think you're being patient, forgiving, or understanding, but when that turns into you constantly compromising your standards just to keep her around, you're not showing love, you're showing weakness. A man who respects himself knows that walking away is sometimes more powerful than staying. He doesn't beg for effort. He doesn't explain his worth. Think about it. If a friend lied to you, made you feel like an option, and only showed up when it was convenient, would you keep them close? Then why do it to yourself in a relationship? Stoicism reminds us that self-respect isn't loud. It's in the quiet decisions we make when no one's watching. It's in the boundaries you set, in the way you carry yourself after disappointment, and in your refusal to chase what disrespects your peace if she senses that you'll sacrifice your dignity just to keep her attention. She won't admire you, she'll slowly lose respect, but if she sees that you have a backbone, that you'd rather stand alone than be treated like an afterthought, she'll feel something deeper than attraction. Admiration, that's where real power comes from. Not needing to prove, but choosing to protect your value. If any of this hits home, maybe it's time to ask yourself, what have I been tolerating that I know I shouldn't? You gossip or complain too much. Number 9. You gossip or complain too much, talking behind people's backs, whining about your life, or always playing victim kills. The masculine energy she's drawn to a stoic man doesn't complain. He adapts acts or accepts quiet strength, builds silent respect when you're constantly venting about others or dramatizing your problems. You're not expressing strength. You're leaking your peace, and women feel that they pick up on the negativity, the resentment, the lack of self-command. It starts small. Maybe you're criticizing your coworker over lunch, or you're always finding something to moan about your job, your ex, your bad luck. But it builds a pattern where instead of facing challenges, you narrate them to anyone who will listen, hoping for sympathy instead of solutions. A Stoic approach flips that mindset. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Complaining is the opposite of that. It's giving power to everything but yourself. Gossip, that's a signal you're too focused on others' lives because you're avoiding your own real masculine presence, isn't loud, judgmental, or needy for validation. It's rooted in calm responsibility. If something bothers you, you either fix it or you let it go. You don't carry it around and poison the air with it. Think about the man who walks into a room and says nothing bad about anyone. He doesn't need to drag others down to feel taller. He doesn't whine about what's unfair. He accepts it, adjusts, and keeps moving. That's the kind of energy she trusts, admires, and feels safe around. Not the man who talks too much, complains too often, and blames everything but himself. So the next time you feel the urge to gossip or complain, pause, ask yourself, is this making me stronger or smaller? Choose silence over drama. Choose action over noise. That's the kind of self-control that speaks volumes without saying a word. You lack purpose and direction. Number 10, you lack purpose and direction. No goals, no discipline, no deeper reason to get out of bed in the morning. That emptiness, people can sense it fast. A woman will always respect a man who is building something, even if it's not perfect. As long as it's clear he's moving forward in Stoic philosophy, living with purpose is the foundation of dignity. Because when you lack direction, you drift, and a drifting man isn't truly trusted or admired by anyone. You don't have to be successful overnight, but you do need to have a clear path. Here's a simple example. If you wake up every day, scrolling your phone, playing games, or waiting for others to tell you what to do, you're not really living. You're just existing. And women can feel that. They notice when a man has no real drive. They notice when he's chasing temporary feelings instead of being grounded in something solid. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you find anything better than virtue, follow it." But the Stoic man doesn't wait to be inspired. He chooses the right path and walks it every day, tired or not, slow or not, but never quitting. Even a small goal pursued with discipline has more power than 1,000 dreams left untouched. Here's the truth. If you don't trust the path you're on, how can anyone else living with purpose? Doesn't just make you grow. It earns you respect, and most of all, it changes how she sees you no longer. Just a guy who's lost, but a man who's leading his own life. And now I want to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect. Are you moving with purpose or just reacting to whatever life throws your way? Purpose doesn't mean perfection. It means choosing your direction, even if the steps are small, so let's keep it real. What's one thing you're working toward right now that makes you feel grounded? Drop your thoughts in the comments or just type, "I choose to lead my life." I'll be reading every response. Let's keep this conversation going. Respect. Conclusion isn't something you demand, it's something you embody. Every choice you make, every boundary you set, every emotion you master. It all tells her who you are at your core. The Stoic man doesn't try to control how others see him. He focuses on how he shows up to life, and that presence, that discipline. That's what earns lasting respect. So, if any of these signs made you pause, good, that's where growth begins. Which point hit home the most for you? Let me know in the comments, or just type, "I lead with respect." And if this gave you clarity, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs this reminder. Until next time, stay grounded, stay sharp, and protect your standard.